Well, hey Rad Reelers, JC here with Rad Reeling Fishing. Well, you guys, a lot of people are making comments on these videos that I'm uploading where I'm catching sheepshead, okay? A lot of questions are coming in, and you guys, I spread out tips throughout all these videos, okay? But what I've decided to do is I've decided to just put this video together with exactly everything that I'm doing to catch sheepshead at the jetties. That way you don't have to like watch an entire video of me catching fish and try and find the tips, because I know you guys are like me. I click through the videos and find the fish catches sometimes, but you know what, sometimes I watch all the videos. I'd appreciate it if you watch all the videos. It helps out the channel whenever you guys do that. But anyway, all right guys, so I'm going to put together this video here with all these tips, tricks, and hacks and ideas for how I catch sheepshead. Okay, now let me just get started here. The reel that I am using is a 2500 size spinning reel. It's my Daiwa BG series. I've got it on my Rhino Tough 6.6 medium heavy rod, and I have this rigged up with 15-pound test monofilament line. And I use a monofilament line because you get broke off a lot down there in the rocks, and I don't like to waste time tying on a leader to braid. Okay, I'd rather just tie straight to the monofilament and get it back up, get it over with, and get it back in there and start fishing. All right, so and the rig that I'm using, you guys, is a #1 hook. It's just a J hook, a #1. It is a #1 owner hook. It's what they call an octopus hook. Owner calls it an SSW hook with an extra sharp point, and I have it rigged up with a knocker rig. And that's where the sinker just goes right down there on top of the hook like that. I use two different size sinkers, okay? I use a 1/4 ounce slip sinker or a 3/8 ounce slip sinker. It depends on how fast the current's moving. Okay, so that's what I am rigged with, okay? The knocker rig makes it so quick to rig. You just slide that sinker on and tie your hook. You're not tying on an extra swivel. You're not tying on an extra piece of line. Those things take extra time when the bite's on. When the bite's on, man, you just want to slide that sinker on, tie that hook on, put your bait on, and get back out there. It's just a lot quicker. And everybody has a different way that they like to rig for sheepshead. And I'm just sharing with you what's working for me. And you know, people might disagree, but my videos are evidence and proof that this rig works, and what I'm doing is working to catch sheepshead. So I'm going to stick with what I'm doing, and I'm just sharing this with you guys. Hopefully it'll make something a little bit easier for you when you go down there to try and get on this sheepshead bite. All right, so that's the rig that I'm using. Now, the next thing, you guys, is I'm using shrimp, okay? In this area, I'm using live shrimp. I can't buy fiddler crabs. I bought some frozen sand fleas one time that were blanched. That didn't work. It's too much of a pain to go catch sand fleas. I ruined a $300 GoPro last year trying to do that. Not gonna do that again. I made a video about catching mud crabs, you guys, but really, I have to drive around to like 5 different places to catch mud crabs. So I've already wasted $4 in gas and 2 hours of my time just to try and, you know, catch my own bait. Just to try and catch my own bait. It's just easier to go to the bait store. I start out with 3 dozen live shrimp. I just get regular size shrimp, okay? Keep them aerated or keep them in your live bucket. Keep it in the water. Okay, so the next thing that I do whenever I get there, okay, I want to study, okay? This is how I kind of learned like where the sheepshead were. What I just studied and watched for a little while where people were catching the sheepshead, okay? And then once I saw where they were catching the sheepshead, I knew, okay, that is a spot where the sheepshead congregate or hang out. And maybe that particular day I wasn't able to fish that spot, so I tried a different spot. But when I came back the next time, I got in that spot, that hot spot where they were catching sheepshead. And when you go down there, you will see certain areas where there'll be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people just like all 4 feet from each other. That's probably where the hot sheepshead bite is, right there. There's 4 or 5 different places down in that area that are really, really like the best places to catch sheepshead, but those sheepshead travel back and forth along that entire jetty, so you might be able to find your own hot spot, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, you just get down there and watch what people are doing, where they're catching the sheepshead, and try and get in and around those areas. Now, I always start out with, I take my live shrimp and I break a third off. If it's a bigger shrimp, I break them in half. If it's a medium-sized shrimp, I'm breaking off about a third of that shrimp. Now that method has just proved to work for me. I don't know what it is. The shrimp still stays alive, okay? But I really feel like I've got more bites and caught more sheepshead whenever I rig them that way. And I hook those shrimp right up through the bottom, like right in front of the legs. I turn them over and I hook them up through the bottom in the head, right up through the top of the head, just like I always hook my shrimp when I'm snook fishing or anytime that I'm fishing with live shrimp. That's basically the way that I hook them, in the head like that. All right, you guys, so once I've got my shrimp on there, I am casting out, okay? I'm gonna cast out about 30 or 40 feet. I'm not casting like all the way out in the middle of the jetties. I'm just casting out about 30 or 40 feet. I'm gonna try it out further first, okay? I'm always fishing when the current's moving. The sheepshead don't bite when there's a dead tide, okay? It's just a waste of time. I've tried it several times. I have not caught any sheepshead when the tide is dead. Current, man, they like current. That water, it has to be moving, all right? So I'm casting out. I've got that egg sinker, and depending on how fast that tide is moving, it might be moving like super fast, and I want to use that 3-ounce weight. If it's not moving super fast, I'm using the 1/4 ounce weight. All right, and there are all different kinds of ways people rig. Some people just put a little split shot on there, okay? Some people use bobbers. Some people use a fish finder rig, but this rig works for me. So I adjust the weight size depending on the current. All right, I'm casting it way out there, and I'm just working it to try and find out how far off of the bank these sheepshead are going to be biting. Sometimes they're biting right up along the edge in the rocks. Well, it's kind of a pain in the butt when that happens because you're getting hung up and you're losing rigs. But if you want to catch sheepshead, you got to just say, hey, I'm just going to lose rigs. So make sure you have plenty of hooks and plenty of sinkers. I usually buy 2 packs of hooks. I don't know how many are in there, probably 8 or so. So I've got about 16 hooks when I go down there, and I'm grabbing like 10 to 20 sinkers, you know, 10 1/4 ounce and 10 3/8 ounce. So I have plenty of rigs because inevitably you're going to get broke off. The sheepshead are hanging out in the rocks. That's what's happening there. So, all right, so you're just going to work out far, then you're going to come in. You're going to find out where those sheepshead are. All right, they're either close to the rocks or they're further out. Once you find them, you really have to just pay attention to where you're getting those bites, where you're catching the sheepshead, and then just repeat that process because chances are that's that little hole where they seem to be hanging out at or where they're schooling at. Now, sheepshead, the bite is really odd, okay? You can fish and fish and fish and hardly get any bites, and all of a sudden they'll turn on. You might catch 3, 4, 6, or 10 of them, just boom, 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 just as fast as you can get it out there. You're getting bites, all right? And then they'll just turn off again. I don't understand it. And also the sheepshead, when they actually bite the line, sometimes, you guys, it's just like a little tap, tap. It might be an aggressive tap or even feel just like a little pinfish, like you just barely feel them. And when that happens, I just let them tap it. I let them just keep tapping it. And every now and then I'll just ease back with my rod and see if there's some weight on there. And if I feel some heavy weight on there, and I'll feel them just kind of pull with some heavy weight, I'll set the hook. But whenever I'm getting that little tap, I don't set the hook. I just let them keep tapping. I don't set the hook until I pull back and I feel a little bit of heavy weight, and then I'm boom, setting that hook. All right, the other way that they hit is you're going to feel a whoomp whoomp. It's going to be a heavier. All right, it's not going to be like a bam run kind of thing, but it's going to be a whoomp whoomp. That's usually a sheepshead, and when I feel that heavy whoomp whoomp, I'm setting the hook. Okay, that's a good sized sheepshead. Got that thing in his mouth, and he is on the move. All right, so that's basically the 2 ways that the sheepshead have been biting down there that I've noticed. All right, so I've got it out there. I set the hook. I've got the sheepshead, and the main thing is just keep constant pressure on them and just keep working them straight up out of those rocks. If you feel them in those rocks, you just keep pulling to get them up out of those rocks. Once you get them up out of there, a sheepshead doesn't really fight like to the right or to the left very much. They're pretty much a straight up and down kind of a fish on the fight until you get them up close to the top. Sometimes they'll veer off depending on the size of the fish. The next thing you want is you want to have your 5-gallon bucket right there with you, okay, or a net. A net is going to be a pain on those rocks. I'm always swinging those sheepshead up and I try and get them in the bucket. Okay, you don't want one to come accidentally unhooked and fall down in the rocks. Okay, he might not survive. He might not be able to get out of there, and you might not be able to grab him. So a 5-gallon bucket is important to have. Get that sheep's head in the 5-gallon bucket as fast as you can, and then as you're taking the hook out of the sheep's head, hold him over that 5-gallon bucket to get that hook out of there in case he flops out of your hand again. He's going to fall in the 5-gallon bucket. All right, you've got him up there, boom, you've got him in the 5-gallon bucket, and make sure that you check the regulations for sheepshead. Last year it was 15 that you could keep. You cannot keep 15 this year. Okay, right now, presently to date, you know what, just go check the regulations for yourself, you guys. I'm not going to even say anything on the channel because I don't want anybody to be misled by any information here. Go research that yourself on the FWC website. All right, you'll find that information pretty easy. Okay, so yeah, you got your sheep's head. You're allowed a certain amount of them, and they have to be a certain size before you can keep them. And basically, guys, I think that's pretty much it, other than keep moving around. All right, if you catch a sheep's head, in one spot and then you don't get another bite for 20 minutes, move a little bit, move 20 feet, move 15 feet, move 30 feet, and try it there. Okay, and sometimes just moving a little bit is going to really put you like right on this hot sheep's head bite where they're at. Now the other day I moved around about 4 or 5 times before I actually found a good spot where the sheep's head were hanging out and where they were biting. All right, so yeah, if you're not getting a good sheep's head bite, move from that area. Or if you're in a really good, you know it's a really good spot because you saw people catching sheep's head there, just be patient. All right, just be patient. Maybe the sheep's head have just turned off and they're not biting, and they eventually will turn on again in that spot if that's a spot that's been known that the sheep's head are hanging out. All right, you guys, that's all I got for you. Thumbs up or appreciated. Get out there and go fishing, man. Life is fun. Live it. See ya.